Hi, my name's Andrew Fragias and welcome back to another flow example. Today I'm going to walk through a very important flow, a very useful flow around the opportunity management. If you're a sales type business, you can use this flow pretty regularly. And if you're not a sales type business, you can use the concept of it for anything really. So we're going to start off with the issue we have is around opportunities. We close one, we're a subscription-based company, so we want to have a renewal opportunity, right? And we don't want our sales team to spend time making those opportunities at the end, even forgetting to do it, and therefore you lose business the next year because it's a one-year contract or the year after or however long it is. So we're going to create a record triggered flow to make sure it's automatically creating the renewal opportunity for the end of the contract. So starting off, this is a record triggered flow. As you can assume, this is going to be triggered on a record is updated, and you want to make sure that after the record is saved. So we have the flow to run after the record is saved. It's on the opportunity object, and I'm making sure that the stage name is equal to closed one. And we only want the record is updated to meet the condition requirements. Once you do that, you then want to grab any associated records. So in this case, I'm going to carry over a couple associated records, and that is the products and the contact roles. If you have some other associated records that you want to carry over with you, you can. You can use things such as the quote or the contract or anything else that might be there. So we're going to do a simple get using the get elements, and we're going to go get products, or in this case, opportunity line item. And we're going to set it to where opportunity ID is equal to the record ID. So the record being the record that triggered this flow, and we're just going to store the records once we get them, because we know we're going to get multiples returned. We could potentially get one, we could potentially get none. So once we've done this, we're going to go down, and the next step is to get the contact roles. So we're going to get our opportunity contact roles. This is important, getting the contact roles, because if someone was previously a decision maker or the buyer, you want to probably be contacting them again. It's easy for the sales team. Maybe you get a new salesperson allocated to this account. They know who the contact is. They don't have to go digging for the contact. So again, we're going to use opportunity ID, record ID. We'll store it in a record collection. And then finally, we're going to begin to create the renewal opportunity. So the first step is to create the renewal opportunity. Now, what I've done is I've created a variable, and that is a formula type variable. And on the left here, it's going to store the renewal date. And what I've done in this case is I've just taken the record close date and added 365. So that's adding a whole year to it. You can do any sort of formula depending on what your renewal timeline is. So maybe you've got an actual field that stores the contract length on it. You can take that value, add it into the formula. But in this case, I've made it nice and simple. So we're going to use the create records element, and we're going to map some fields accordingly. So we want to map the account ID, and then we're going to reuse some of the record information. So the amount from the record, close date, and we're going to use that resource I created before. Forecast category name, at the moment, we want it omitted because we don't want it to come up in any reporting we have at the moment. So it's omitted. Name, I've set this to two things, which is renewal, pipe delimiter, and then the record name. So what I've done here is by using some free text, but with the word renewal and a pipe, I can also combine a value from the flow itself into this. So in the end result, you'll have renewal and then the opportunity name before. Next step is we're confirming the renewal. Owner ID, we set that to the same as the previous opportunity. Price book, same as the previous one. Stage name, needs analysis, and type renewal. Now you can map any number of fields. You can also even create an assignment. So to update your record that you have in this flow and do it and just automatically map it accordingly. So you may have seen in my previous videos, use an assignment variable. When you're using it, you would clear out the record ID because you don't want to set that. But you would probably set things like this, right, where the renewal date and then it will automatically map the rest of the fields for you instead of you manually mapping them here. So once we've done that, we want to make sure that if it had a product, we create the product, right? So first thing here is a decision split. We're going to check, does it have a product? So from the get products, is it null, false? That means that it has a product, right? So we're checking to see that the get products return values. Otherwise, it doesn't have a product. If it does, we're going to have a loop variable, a loop element, I should say. And in this loop, we're going to iterate through our get products that we had from before. So we're using that collection variable, iterating through and creating those records. So you can see here, creating opportunity line item. We've mapped the fields accordingly. So it's very important to note that you can take the previous ones. You can do an assignment variable, like I said, then use that and map that to the create records if you want. Otherwise, I've done it here using a loop. So I could manually map them, map the values I wanted. So it's up to you really how you approach it. Some people I find tend to use the create records element with a previous step of the assignment variable updating the record collection variable. So once we've done that, same concept here with contact roles. So again, we use the decision to check that it is empty or if it's not, and then we map through it, loop through it here. And finally, we want to add a call task. So this call task is for when the renewal comes, we want to make sure that it is people following up with that renewal. So I've mapped all the fields accordingly. And it's a very simple one. And the what ID, if you're not familiar, is the opportunity of the renewal we created. So on task and events, there are two key fields, what ID and who ID. What ID refers to a record versus who ID refers to a person type record. So something like a contact or a lead. All right, and it's as easy as that, right? So this is going to save lots of time for your teams, for your sales team, and it's going to get them in a very much quicker movement. So we'll put this into action. I've activated it, and it's easy as me changing this. I'll change this to closed. I'll select my closed stage, and in this case, it's closed one. You can see on the right here, there were some products, and below there were some contact roles. Save, and it's going to run through. So this, you'll go ahead, you'll create it. And for me to see that renewal, I go to United Alls, and right there, that's my renewal there. This was created today, and it's in that needs analysis. It's got my products, and it's got that contact role, which got carried over. And this all got done just then. So it's as easy as that, right? So it took everything we needed, carried it over accordingly, created our tasks that we wanted, and everything else that was relevant. So thanks again for listening, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for next time.